All right, we are here today with Mr. Ken Richardson, candidate for the 7th District Congressional. How are we doing today, Mr. Ken?
Zeb, I'm doing great, and I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to be over in Dillon again. It seems like I'm almost going to have to rent an apartment over here. I spend a lot of time in Dillon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You ought to come on over and maybe bring some customers over here so they can spend some money downtown.
Yeah, I was over at King's Pizza the other day, and they offered me one of these cards. I guess I need to start getting it punched every time I go in there and eat.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. We enjoy King's here. If y'all ever watch the local taste, you know we enjoy it. But Mr. Ken, you got a little John Hagee look to you. You know who I'm talking about?
I don't believe so.
He's a pastor, and we used to watch him growing up. I think it's the white hair slick back is what it is.
Well, it might be. I mean, I've been called anything from Mike Ditka to Joe Pesci, so it doesn't really.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
But I guess we could get into, how'd you get to where you are? Where'd you come from? Where's your family from?
Well, I thank you, Zeb. I came off of a farm in Aner, South Carolina. I'm from Horry County, been in Horry County my whole life. In fact, my family's been there for close to 300 years now. But we're a PD family. My great-great-great-grandfather fought with Francis Marion. So my roots go deep. And one of the things I'm hoping to do when I get elected is to bring the PD back together, make us one again. Because quite frankly, the PD hasn't had the representation that they need. They need somebody that's not going to just represent Horry County. I mean, I realize Horry County is the largest county in the PD.
That's right.
But it's one of 8, and regardless what we're doing in any of the counties, it needs to be brought to attention. I mean, we should be one, and I'm hoping that I'm the guy that can kind of bring us all back together again. One PD. I like to say that everywhere I go. One PD.
Yes, sir.
So.
Yes, sir. I think we could definitely make a move towards that. And we definitely enjoy some tradition around here.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Deep roots and tradition.
Man, listen, don't tell me about tradition. I hope I can leave here today feeling good because, I played football at Conway High School, and unfortunately, Dillon was on our schedule. and so I've left Dillon many a time, and I didn't feel good when it was a long bus ride home from Dillon because, Dillon, one of the things I'm sure everybody knows, and this was actually before Jackie Hayes and the successful programs he had, but Dillon's always been a powerhouse in football. And, the first thing you want to do is get out of here alive and try to get out of here with a win, and that was tough back in the old days.
Yes, sir. It's still tough. We have a lot of talent in Dillon County, and we have a new coach that's taken over, and I think he's done well, and he's going to continue to do well. Which we also had him on here with Two Guys Talking Sports, so y'all can check that out also. So you got a background in education. You're on the board in Horry County,
right?
Why are you trying to make that transition into Congress?
Well, I tell you, and I'm glad you asked that, and I do have a background in education, and first and foremost, a lot of people say, well, how did you get the education? Education was not how I made my living. I was the Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Cadillac, Oldsmobile Jeep dealer, down in Myrtle Beach for 45 years. And the community was very good to me, and the gentleman that got me started and was my mentor, he always told me, he said, Ken, if the community is good to you, be good to the community. And I've always tried to give back. And so, I served 4 years on Coastal Carolina's board. And then I moved over to Horry Georgetown Technical College and served 20 years on their board, where I was the chairman for 16 of those. And then had a group of business people come to me about 3 years ago and asked me to run for Board of Education. And that's the first elected office I've ever had to run for. And I ran and won. And we've done good. It's been an experience. And it's kind of set me up for what I want to do. There's a lot of things that I want to do when I go to Washington. One of the main things is I'd like to do away with the Department of Education right off the bat because I don't think we need the federal government. Federal government is too big and they're involved in too much. And we don't need the federal government telling us what we should be teaching our children or how we should be teaching them or when we should be teaching them. Those decisions should be made on the local levels. And they should be made by local school boards and the parents. The parents are the most important part of that, and that's what we need to shoot for. Is Jimmy Carter put that in the late 70s, and I think 78, 79, somewhere along in there, and Ronald Reagan was within 2 votes of doing away with the Department of Education.
Yeah.
But I believe in school choice. I think the money should stay with the child, and the money should follow the child, just like same thing with the Veteran Administration. I think the money should follow the vet. Yeah. If a vet's needs to go to the hospital, he shouldn't have to wait 4 months for something to get him into a VA.
Yes, sir. VAs are definitely renowned for their wait times.
Oh, absolutely.
On education, I guess we could bring this up real quick. You would support something to the effect of what Florida's proposing right now?
I tell you what, I'm the only school board chairman in the state of South Carolina that actually, I took a week and went to Florida on my own. I didn't use taxpayer money. I did it myself. I went down to Tampa. Tampa is the 7th largest school district in the United States. And I went down to Tampa, Florida, spent a week there with their board chairman and their superintendent, and spent a week doing nothing but going around visiting their schools and seeing how they were working themselves through COVID. Because COVID was a tough thing. I'm not going to lie to you. I can promise you today, Congress cannot be as tough as being the school board chairman during COVID. Because in Horry County we've got
there's a lot of pressure.
Oh yeah. Close to 47,000 children down there in Horry County, and we got I have the largest budget in the entire 7th district of South Carolina. Our budget's $800 million a year, and it's a big thing to me, and it's an honor to me also. I mean, in the past I've had a few things that when I was on the Horry Georgetown Technical College board. They honored me by making me chairman emeritus when I retired to go over to the school district, and named the art gallery after my wife and I. And so they've been good to me. But the people are good, and people are good people. You just need to reach out and try to help them. They need help sometimes, and they won't help. And that's one of the things that and I don't mean this bad over in Dillon. Dillon County, listen, first off, I want to give a shout out to your Horry County your Dillon County Republican Party, because you got some great people in there. I've been over there.
We do.
I think 2 or either 3 times and spoken, and you got some great people, and they're really trying to grow your party, and that's what it's about. Because now it's not about as much Republican versus Democrat. It's common sense versus outrageous. Some of the outrageous things going on.
Yep.
One of my opponents the other day was he was up in Russell Fry, we'll call his name. Russell was in Columbia. He's a state house member, and he was talking about how, with what's going on in Ukraine, that everybody needed to pour their vodka out, and they needed to not buy this and everything. And what a crazy bill to introduce. I mean, right now, isn't it a lot more important to people today? That let's do something outrageous, and let's get men out of women's sports. Why can't we do something like that? That's a lot more important to people than going out in the yard and pouring your vodka out because you don't like what's going on in Ukraine. That's what Washington's job is right now, to deal with what's going on over there.
Yes, sir. I agree with you on just about everything there. I guess we can pivot into maybe infrastructure, and specifically I-73.
Well, if we can, let's talk about infrastructure first. And because there's 2 issues. There's the local roads, local infrastructure, roads, bridges, and I actually put flooding in that too. We've got to do something with the flooding situation. Yeah. And when you're from the coast like I am, we have a tendency to think of flooding. We think about flooding down, around the rivers and some of the things. But, last week I was in Chester, South Carolina, and we were sitting in a restaurant, and had a young lady tell me that the waitress in the restaurant, she said, the restaurant, the table we were sitting at was a foot underwater, which meant that water was about 4 foot deep in that restaurant in Chester, South Carolina, during Hurricane Florence.
We have something similar in Dillon, which I know the city and the county is working on trying to fix right now, if you've kept up with any of the council meetings. But Dillon's a bowl.
Right.
We sit we sit here and water comes to us.
Dillon is just
even when we don't want it.
Right, it's just like New Orleans. You're in the same situation New Orleans is. You're sitting. You're in a little area.
Yes, sir.
And the water. You're right. The water does come to you. But with the infrastructure that I'm talking about, we already collect a lot of money for taxes, and that money is supposed to go to fix local roads, local infrastructure, bridges, flooding issues, and things like that. And then that kind of ties into the second part of it is I-73. Now I've made no joke that I am 100% against I-73, and what I'm against is I'm against paying for it with our tax dollars. The federal government wants to come in here and do something. That's kind of left up to the federal government, but we don't need to be spending. I mean, on the way over here, I guess it's because now I'm running for Congress, I pay more attention. But I count the potholes when I'm riding now.
Well, you can't miss them sometimes.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, you count them and you see them, and you look at the roads, or you look at the tires, and you're bouncing around, and I-73. I tell this all the time. Why do we need a road to get you to Myrtle Beach faster so you can sit in local traffic longer? And I'm gonna tell you, not because I'm in Dillon. I'm not saying it's because I'm in Dillon or Latta or wherever I might be. But I-73 would devastate you guys.
It would.
You don't need it.
It would literally drive traffic away from Dillon.
It would, and that's why you're not going to get some of the local candidates just running against me to come over here and speak, because they know if they come over here, you guys are going to ask them about I-73, and they don't want to face the music. And that's the bottom line. That's the truth.
Yes, sir. I think we haven't really heard much about I-73 lately, and I think they want to keep it on the down low a little bit because of that.
Well, it's a big thing in Horry County, and we hear it a lot over there, and that kind of ties into the Myrtle Beach Chamber. The Myrtle Beach Chamber, they've had, I think, 3 events in Columbia where they've went up there. In fact, the last event, I've got pictures of the ice sculptures of I-73. I mean, it's a big thing, and Tom Rice and Russell Fry are Myrtle Beach Chamber guys, and they both support Myrtle Beach Chamber. And let me explain how that thing has gotten away from people. Every city, there's 20 cities in the 7th District of South Carolina. There's 8 counties and 20 cities. Now, those 20 cities, each one of them has a Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce is to boost local businesses. Local businesses contribute to the chamber, and then the chamber gets out and they work to promote those local businesses. Not Myrtle Beach. In Myrtle Beach, they've created a new group. It's a new alliance, and what they do is they take, in Myrtle Beach we have something called a TDF fund, which is basically a little fund that they collect and a tax they collect, and it puts about a little over $50 million a year into the Myrtle Beach Chamber, which goes into their little group that they've done to do nothing but promote candidates. And I can tell you right now, there's a separation there because we don't need chamber electing candidates. And for example, the congressman we got right now, he's seeking his 6th term in office, and he's a Myrtle Beach Chamber guy. Yeah. And Russell Fry, Russell Fry got Donald Trump's endorsement. He's a chamber. In fact, he's the spokesman for the Myrtle Beach Chamber. So I'm not a popular guy with the Myrtle Beach Chamber. If I go into Myrtle Beach, I need to really slip in at night and try to get out, because I'm not a popular guy over there right now. But when it comes to the voters, everywhere I go, I've spoke to over 115 different groups, and when I ask the question at the end, how many people here want to see I-73, I can honestly tell you, in 115 events, I've had 2 hands go up. 2. Yeah. Now that's the people telling me. I don't need to listen to the chamber. They claim they've done polls, and a poll. I could take a poll that make it. I could ask who looks the best, me or you. Zeb, you look better than I do. I can assure you, I can do a poll that'll make me come out on top.
Yes, sir.
And I'm telling you, that's the way they do. That's what the Myrtle Beach Chamber did.
That's right. You can lie with statistics.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not hard at all.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's kind of my position. But I'm the candidate that came out. I'm against I-73. Now, some of the other candidates are trying to jump on board now, kind of like they did with critical race theory. I was the first school board chairman in the state to come out against critical race theory, taught in our schools, and I was out there by myself for a while, but then later everybody else started jumping on board, and now it's the popular thing to do. Yeah. It seems like I'm always the guy that's out there first, and everybody kind of comes on board a little bit later.
A lot of politicians like to go with the wind.
They do, and I don't like to, I really don't like to call myself a politician because, I ran for the school board because that, unfortunately in Horry County, that's how it's one of the few school districts in the state where you have to actually run for chairman. And I had to run for chairman. I mean, I had 85,000 people vote for me and said, we want you to be our chairman. And I'm hoping that if I can get a third of those 85,000 to turn out and vote in this election right here, I'll make the runoff. And that's there's two goals. My first goal is to make the runoff, and my second goal is to win it.
Yep.
So
I think that's a solid goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Skills, labor, and jobs. How would you tackle that?
Great. That's a great question. And I tell you, and I don't know, a lot of people out there probably have never been into Tom Rice's office up in Washington, but Tom's got a sign up there on his desk, it says jobs, jobs, jobs. And before Tom went to Congress, he was chairman of the county council in Horry County. And his big promotion there was jobs, jobs, jobs. But quite frankly, I can tell you right now, I've created more jobs in the 7th District than Tom Rice has. And I've done it through the technical colleges. And you've got to do it through your technical and your community colleges. You've got to do it through skilled labor. And quite honestly, I was over at your community college the other day, Northeastern. And you guys need some help. You really do. It's time that somebody steps up and gets these guys some help. Because when we were there, they actually told us that, if they have a hard rain, they got to go out and put buckets out to catch the rain. I mean, that doesn't need to be happening. If you want to create jobs, you need to be able to do it in a way where you've got skilled labor. Because I can tell you right now, you can go to any of the colleges you want to go to, and you can get your degree, and you can go into law school or medical school, or wherever you want to go. But I can tell you this, if it's the middle of July and it's 110 degrees and your air conditioner knocks off, you don't care how many law degrees somebody's got or how many doctors you got.
Yes,
you
sir.
Want an HVAC guy to come fix your air conditioner.
Yes, sir. It gets pretty warm in Dillon County.
It sure does. It sure does.
Back to, you mentioned, making that runoff and then possibly winning the election.
Right.
You talk a lot about election integrity and specifically in the PD.
Right.
What are you looking for in that, and how would you fix some of those issues?
Well, I can tell you, there's a TV show. It's called The War Room with Steve Bannon. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but
yeah, I did. I watched the interview on there. I thought he did well.
Okay. Well, I actually wrote an op-ed about election integrity because you see, we're 8.5 months away from election, and we really ain't fixed the last one yet. We still got election problems that have not been addressed. So election integrity is a big thing. If the average person will tell you the truth, the day that we heard that they were going to accept mail-in ballots, I knew Donald Trump was in trouble. I knew he was in trouble. Because it's just like with me. At my house, I could get potentially 8 different pieces of mail from the same people with 8 different names on it. And it's all Ken Richardson, but it might be W.K. Richardson, K.W. Richardson, because my name is William Ken. I mean, it could be Bill Richardson. Well, I like to say I'm an honest guy. I'm going to vote one time. But there's people out there that would take all 8 of those ballots and send them in for Joe Biden. And so election integrity is a very big thing. And, and one of the things that I did, and I said when I was on Steve Bannon's show, because that was 3 days before Donald Trump came down and endorsed Russell Fry. And I actually said it on Steve Bannon's show. I said, President Trump, if you endorse Russell Fry, you have pissed your endorsement away. And I honestly believe that. Because how do you go 7 years and talk about draining the swamp, and then you go and endorse a guy that is, I don't know if we've ever had anybody more in the swamp than Russell Fry is. Yeah. I mean, this guy he's the definition of the swamp. So that's kind of where I'm at with election integrity. I want it fixed. I want to do something about it, and make sure that if you go in, there's certain stores you go in, you got to show your ID to cash a check. Why shouldn't you show your ID to vote? I don't see anything wrong with that.
I think that goes back to your common sense.
Yeah. Well, common sense is something. I was telling somebody the other day, we really should start a new party, and it should be called a Common Sense Party, because actually there are some Democrats out there that have common sense. There's a lot of independent voters. If you look at the breakdown of Republican voters in the 7th District and Democrat, the biggest number are the undecided. It's people that are not affiliated with the Republican or the Democratic Party. And I like to call those the common sense people. And that's the people that I'm after today. That's the people that I want to take a quick look at me. Because honestly, I can tell you right now, there's going to be one of three people who's going to win this race. It's going to be Tom Rice, who voted to impeach the president. It's going to be Tom Rice 2.0, which is Russell Fry, or it's going to be Ken Richardson. And if the common sense comes into it, I'll be your next congressman.
All right. Well, we look forward to it. And, you know, you align with the Republican Party pretty well.
Absolutely.
And you run on America First.
Absolutely.
When you say America First, what do you mean?
Well, I say American First because I can't say American only. I would love to be able to say America only. But America First, we've got to put America first. Donald Trump did it. He proved it. He proved that we should put America first. And, you know, I get asked this all the time. Well, do you think this would happen if Trump was still the president, or do you think that would happen? You know, Donald Trump was so unpredictable that, I mean, a lot of people feared him because they didn't know what would be coming from him next. I don't think we'd be dealing with Ukraine today if Donald Trump was still the president. And it's because of that he put America first. When it comes to trade deals, he put America first. And apologies, you know, I never saw any apologies come from Donald Trump. Obama did a complete apology tour, apologizing for the United States, not Donald Trump. So I want to tag on to that. I want to put America first, but I want to put the 7th District first. I want to put the PD first. And, you know, and I had, the other day I had somebody ask me, they said, well, you know, Ken, if you get elected, you're going to have to work with Democrats that didn't vote for you, and Republicans that didn't vote for you, and other people that didn't vote for you. Well, listen, I'm smart enough. I know one thing. I know, going back to my school board race, 85,000 people voted for me, but I've had 250,000 told me they voted for me. So I know, you know, the one guy I know that you can believe, if a guy looks you in the eye and tells you he's not going to vote for you, he's not going to vote for you.
Yeah.
And so I fully understand that. But I get asked all the time, Ken, you've got this big beef with the Myrtle Beach Chamber. Would you ever sit down with the Myrtle Beach Chamber and work with them? And I can tell you right now, yes, I would. I would sit down with them after this election, and I'll work with them. And this is all it's going to cost them. All it's going to cost them is because they throw all this money away with all these politicians every year. Now, I don't want any of their money. All I want them to do is this. There's 20 cities in the 7th District of South Carolina. Instead of giving Tom Rice $1 million, and Henry McMaster $1 million, and Russell Fry $1 million, and some of these people all the way down the list to give $1 million every election cycle, instead of doing that, and instead of giving the Sun News $1 million to write what they want, or the Horry Independent $1 million, and all the TV stations money, here's what I want them to do. If they want Ken Richardson to sit down and work with them, here's what I'll do. I want you to give Latta $1 million in their general fund. I want you to give Dillon $1 million. Lakeview, Hartsville, Darlington, Ainer, Loris. I can sit here and name all 20 of the cities. You give each one of them $1 million, let it go into their general fund balance, then you're spreading the wealth that you're collecting and you're doing. Quit buying politicians and let's start trying to buy goodwill throughout the whole 7th District. That's all I'm asking them to do.
Yeah, I think that $1 million will go a lot further in Dillon County than it would maybe.
Oh, I guarantee you. I guarantee it would. And that's that is what you do when you try to build. If you're trying to build on something, you know what? We hadn't even gotten off the campus the other day when we were on your community college. We hadn't even gotten off the campus, and I was already calling people in Columbia wanting to know what we could do. I mean, I called the state director for the state technical colleges. I had him on the phone while I was on their campus. And I said, hey, listen, what can we do? We need to get over here. We've got to do something to help these people out. Because it's pitiful.
Yes, sir. Well, Mr. Kim, before we close this thing up, anything else you want to add? Anything else you want to talk about?
Well, now, first, I want to thank you for letting me come over here. You know, I love Dillon. I love the whole PD, and I love being able to come over here and speak with you. And it's a lot better to do it on camera. I want the camera to keep rolling because, you know, as big as your arms are, I certainly don't want to get in an argument with you. But you know, it's great to have people doing what you guys are doing. You're putting the word out. And that's why, you know, on the side of my car out there, it says one vote at a time. And that's how I'm trying to get them. I mean, I'm not going to get, I'm not going to get the mass of people. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I've done a lot of TV, done a lot of. I mean, I've been on Ken Richardson's show a couple times, which is a lot of people in the PD get his show. I've been on a lot of other shows, but it really starts at home. It starts right here with what you guys are doing right here, and giving a candidate like me a chance to come out here and talk with you. And I like to tell people a lot of times when I speak, I like to say this. Everybody today, with all the bad going on in the world and all the things going on, everyone is looking for something to feel good about now. They really are. And all I ask the people, and I'll look in the camera and say, let me be your feel-good story for 2022. Elect me and you will go to Congress. It's your seat. It's not Tom Rice's seat. It's not Russell Fry's seat. It's your seat. Let me sit in it, and I promise you, and this is a promise that you can go back and play this later. If I'm elected, I will only serve 3 terms. After 3 terms, I'll go home. I might not serve but 1 term. After 1 term, you might want to get rid of me. But, let's send somebody to Washington that's going to put the people first. Let's give the people a voice. Common sense. And I'm telling you right now, a lot of people say, well, if you go up there with that attitude, you won't ever get anything accomplished because you won't get on the right committees. Well, I'm telling you right now, there's a lot of other freshman congressmen that go up there and they get things done their first time. Marjorie Greene went up there. Look what she's accomplished in her first term. Yep. AOC, I don't like her, but look what she got accomplished in her first term. So a freshman congressman can go up there and get something done. And I tell people this all the time. Remember, when Tom Rice went to Congress 10 years ago, he couldn't even find a restroom. Zeb, I appreciate it, buddy.
Yes, sir. Mr. Ken, candidate for the 7th District Congress.